This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our Power Circle monthly community event where we pick a subject to cover. Last month was that Jupiter-Uranus alignment in Taurus, and this month is the Venus Cycle MidPoint in Gemini. And it's an open house kind of invitation to join the Venus Circle, because that is where we go through these things month by month and really activate some accelerated growth and development for ourselves. So before we dive in, let's anchor and unify the circle by doing a little breath work and calling in the four directions. Relax, open up to receive that which is just for you this night. It's really good to just open to receive. As I invite our benevolent angels and loving ancestors and Orisha, our personal animal guides and helping spirits to be with us tonight, we each have a powerful invisible team of support. And it's even more potent when we bring them together like this. Deep breath. So as you take an initial breath, connecting above, below, and at the heart, deep breath in. And hold and release. We want to start at the heart chakra, breathing as if you're breathing through and from your heart. Feeling that expansion, connecting to your own idea and concept of joy in this moment is such a powerful exercise. My little visuals, no matter what kind of mood I'm in, if I see a little 18-month-old baby frolicking on the beach, instant joy, instant heart opening. So whatever does it for you, let's open our hearts, take a deep breath in. We're going to start with the direction of east, an initiation point, where we access the inner wisdom of the mind and we activate the element of air and our breath. Deep breath in, picturing a beautiful emerald green crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. Let's take a deep breath in, connecting to your own heart chakra. And hold and release. Going to come down to the power center where we honor the direction of south, a culmination point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the spirit and activate the element of fire. Here you connect to your own I am presence, picturing your favorite shade of golden yellow crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly, and take a deep cleansing breath in at your power center. And hold and release. Come on down to the creative center where we honor the direction of west, a completion point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the soul and activate the element of water. Here I want you to picture your favorite shade of orange crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly, connecting to your own emotional flow, creative flow, energetic flow. Deep breath in at your sacral. And hold and release. Come on down to the root chakra, where we honor the direction of north, a conception point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the body and activate the element of earth. And we be here now. Deep breath in, connecting to your root and the quality nutrient that is just for you. Picturing your favorite shade of ruby red crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. Take a deep cleansing breath at the root. And hold and release. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm so excited. Most of you know, and some of my newbies are just learning, how much I love to work with Venus. I've been doing it since 1999 consciously. I moved through those first 8-year cycle on my own, and then I started sharing my results, and that's when the workbooks started improving to the structure they are now. And it is a powerful exercise to work with any planet, but of course Venus and Mars are our sacred masculine and feminine energies within us, and it's how we get anything done in our embodiment on this planet. So they're good to understand the rhythm. With Venus, of course, ruling all the things we love and care about, she has her own rhythm and cycle. So I want to start with the 4 phases of the Venus cycle. So what we're going to do tonight is introduce the cycle, a little bit of that rhythm so you can feel into what's already happened and start preparing for what's coming down the road, what Venus really represents. And then we've made the divinations around clarifying and confirming what we've released, and clarifying and confirming what we're about to reclaim. And whether you've been with us or not, you have just come through 10 months of Venus activating a release process in your Leo department where she lingered last year and reset things around your values and priorities in that department. So we've spent the last 10 months essentially unwinding an old persona and an old way of presenting ourselves in personal relationships as well as professionally. So it went both ways. We looked at it from both angles and both fell in Leo, asking us to really get rooted in our authentic self with whatever we choose to do. And we had to do a clearing, and it happens every 8 years in the same department, in the Leo department, so you can learn to sort of co-create with this rhythm. Right now, those 4 phases that Venus's 18-month cycle kind of encompasses go like this. She has her 2 underworld phases, and then she has a morning star phase and an evening star phase. And everyone's born somewhere in one of these 4. So when you get your reading and custom guide, we talk about which one is yours and why that matters. For us in general, I just want you to get a feel for the cycle so you can decide if you want to work with her more consciously or not. Now, what happens is the way we know Venus is starting a new cycle is that she retrogrades. That kicks off a whole new process. And when she's retrograde, she's usually with the sun in what we call the metamorphic underworld. This is where she spends only about 10 days to 2 weeks in the underworld, whereas right now she's in the underworld for 30, 60, 90 days, as long as 90. This time I think it's about 60. So the initial meeting's pretty quick, and we talked about that last year when they met up in Leo. It was the Venus-Sun contact in Leo. Now, what happens in the 18-month cycle is she only meets up with the sun twice. All the rest, we track the meetings with the moon that happen on a monthly basis. Once a month, in some sign, they get together, and that's what we follow. And so the first underworld is all very air element. It's consciousness. It's about shape-shifting and quick transition and the breath of new life, that air element of awakening your consciousness on a certain level. And that reset happens at the retrograde, where I tell people when she retrogrades, which happens every 18 months, we get to reset our values and priorities in personal, individual ways. When she goes back to the same place, like she did last year in Leo, that happens every 8 years, in which case bigger things shift. And I tell people you either get married or divorced, have babies, you move, you take a job, you get a new community. Big things shift at that 8-year mark that test your values. You basically completed a cycle now, and now you're ready to express yourself in a whole new way if we stick to this cycle. But every cycle has its own theme. We just happen to be in the Leo one. And then she does the morning star for 9 months, and that's where she's just come out of. She's been morning star for the last 9 months, which means we would see her at dawn, and then during the day she's a little too close to the sun for us to see. Now she's gone to what's called the Inanna underworld, and now she's not retrograde, but she's meeting with the sun. So the first meeting's a review. This meeting is about how to go forward. And that's where we are at this midpoint in the cycle. We do 9 months of release work and 9 months of reclamation. And technically it's 10 and 10, actually. And this time she's going to be traveling with the sun. So you'll notice that they're in their Taurus, Gemini, Cancer zone together very closely before she moves on in July. And then July, around July 10th, I think, she comes back up and we see her as evening star for the next 9 months. Now, when she's in her morning star phase, it's a fire element. So we go from air to fire, and that, of course, is more yang, but it's still feminine because it's Venus. So it's active, feminine, passionate. She's the warrior in the morning star phase. She's more aggressive. She's more courageous. And there's lots of inspired action that we are moved to do. And I like it for the clearing process because it gets us kind of gung-ho and ready to let go of certain shit that we just don't want to deal with anymore, that it's run its course, either for 18 months or 8 years, however you want to look at that. And so I sort of went out of order. I'm sorry. She does metamorphic. She goes to morning star. Then she does the Inanna underworld, which is where she is now. And so we can kind of consider this pause for the cause at the midpoint a shamanic death, where we surrender, look at how much we've let go of, and we know that because it's no longer part of us, that we are in new territory, we are new, we have the new identity, path, and purpose that's been activated by other planets, And now Venus is trying to dial us in on what's really important and valuable and help us be resourceful. But this is probably the most intense time of her cycle. And for those born during that time, it can be intense for them lifelong. And then the yin feminine is evening star, where she's more in her mature phase, her wisdom phase, making things sacred, being in your embodiment. And that, like I said, is coming up July forward. So these 4 phases are the different things that we go through, where we connect about what has run its course in terms of our outer appearance even, but our outer presentation, our life with other people, and that kind of thing. And we do a clearing on the inner person, who you are privately in your personal relationships. And so looking at both levels and looking at how you could no longer go forward as of 23-24, being inauthentic, being fake or phony, which is shadow Leo. We've got a light and shadow list we can look at. But it's important for us to get anchored in that authentic self. Now, what I've talked about is how the better we've done that, then the better this reclamation side will go. So the next thing I want to talk about, besides the 4 phases, which is important to know, where you fall and where we are now, the next thing is the 5-pointed star. So one of the wonderful things about Venus, who's also associated with Oshun and Aphrodite and many, many love goddesses, and every culture has one. Indigenous cultures, of course, used to follow Venus because it was such a bright star, and they worked with her consciously in that way. One of the other things that she does is in her travels through the sky, the path that she takes through the sky makes a geometrically perfect 5-pointed star. And I actually put my little rendition of it in the access code email. So if you scrolled down, you would have seen that. For our purposes, I'm just going to start with Aries, because Aries is the beginning of everything in this world. And I want you sort of feeling into the rhythm of how the 5-pointed star works. So we are right now in the Leo phase, which is the last point on the star. And it's going to go to Aries next. So in March, April of 2025, Venus is going to linger on the Aries-Pisces cusp. Now, the other thing you should know is the 5 places that she's been coming back to for the last 40 to 60 years, so for most of our lifetime of folks on this call, she has been going from Aries to Scorpio to Gemini to Capricorn to Leo. What's happening now on the Aries and Scorpio pivot points is she's backing up into Pisces and Libra. So she's going to be on the cusp for a good 10 years or so. Every time she retrogrades past those, the 8-year cycle comes back, and then she hits another point, and it takes a little while for her to inch her way all the way. But as of 2009 and 2010, we're sort of in a new 40 to 60-year cycle with the 5 points, okay? So now, the way it's been unfolding thus far, and we'll talk about how it's going to shift, but how it's been unfolding thus far is that every time she would linger in Aries, which was 2009 and 2017, and will happen again in 2025, is we activate a new identity, path, and purpose, because that's Aries territory. But in the feminine realm, in embodiment, Aries wants to do it and be it. It doesn't really want to talk about it. It gets very literal. And if we activate a new identity and purpose with the Aries cycle, then when it goes to the Scorpio cycle, we get access to new power. We have to do a cleansing, and we have to do a clearing of karma, and we have to catch up that 8-year process, right, between Scorpio. But then it's connecting to new power and creativity. So now that we have a new identity and we have new power, it goes to Gemini. And because we have a new identity and new power, time out. I want to give you the years for Scorpio. Scorpio was 2010, 2018, and the next one will be 2026. So those are the years that access to power and creativity got to upgrade. Or if you have strong Scorpio energy, you got a major upgrade to your values and priorities, or all of us did, to that department. And that's what happens every time she lingers there, is we get a little upgrade. So new identity leads to new power, leads to Gemini, which is new options and possibilities and ideas and concepts. But if you'll recall, the last time it happened way back was 2012, but the last time we just went through it in 2020. And we've talked about how so little got anchored that year. It was so impossible. There were so many possibilities and so much new consciousness bubbling in these particular years, 2012 and 2020. It's coming again in 2028 in the Gemini sector. So that new consciousness got away. awakened, and that's fine, and new values around your creative ideas and things. But like I said, it was hard to commit, it was hard to ground. Then it goes from Gemini to Capricorn, and then we get grounded. That's when we create structures and containers for those ideas and things that have come up and been activated. And the Capricorn retrogrades would have happened in 2014, 2022, and will happen again next in 2030. So Capricorn, this is where we come out of the Gemini superficial into what's practical, what's applicable, what's sustainable, what can we do to be more responsible and make good choices. That was Capricorn. And ultimately, what were we going to commit to and what kind of structures and containers were we going to create? So how many of you felt in 22 that other side of 2020 chaos of, okay, now I know what I care about, what I'm ready to commit to, and what I want to build for my future, for my purpose to shine through? Because ultimately in Venus and Capricorn got us super in touch with our true purpose, the one we really care about. And now what happened after the structure of Capricorn, we come to this cycle in Leo. Last happened 2015. Obviously in our world it's 2023. And the next time will happen is 2031. Now with Leo is that we're coming out of the Capricorn cycle that was very serious. And Leo's like, where's the love? Where's the play? Where's the heart? You got to care. With Capricorn, sometimes we commit for the money. Sometimes we commit for the security. And it's not fun and joyful and full of love and heart. So we have to add that piece or we're not balanced, right? The other kind of illustration I give of going from the Capricorn cycle to the Leo cycle is that the last cycle we went through, which was basically 22, 23, early 23, is that we put up the bones of a house. We put in the sides and the electric and the plumbing. But now with Leo, we get to decorate it with our unique touch, with our unique essence. We get to infuse it with what we love and care about. And that's really our life that I'm talking about. It's not the house. It's our life that we want to beautify and upgrade and do a new way with Leo, meaning more heart and love and passion. Now, the challenge going from Leo back to Aries now is that Leo likes to look a certain way, and Aries is like, bump that, let's just do it. I don't care what it looks like. Let's go have some fun. So we're going to shift from now that we've decorated the house and figured out what we want to present and how we want to present things and what really reflects your authenticity. Now, when we get to the new cycle, which is going to cross over the Aries-Pisces cusp, it's going to require us to activate a whole new level of identity and purpose again, but now in a way that you're more self-assured and self-contained, and you know who you are and what you want. And so that overlap into Pisces now, we can start shifting into what I want you all to feel into is the intuitive right timing for actions and choices for you personally, right? There is a right timing for you. And when we follow the Venus cycle, and this is just a little extra plug for the activations and things that you get with your workbook, is that it keeps you on track with your values and your priorities. So that if the world is going one way, you can be like, oh, no, thank you. Not time for that. Not time for me anyway. And you'll know when it's time for you. And we love Venus because when it is time, she actually activates your inner glow and makes you super magnetic, where you're only magnetizing that higher frequency that you're radiating out. So we work with our magnetic field a lot with Venus as well. That's a big part of this. So that rhythm just goes over and over and over and over every 8 years back to these same points. New identity leads to new power, leads to new possibilities. Then we have to do our commitments, beautify, and then get back to work of doing it. And it just repeats over and over, like I said, for 40 to 60 years. And those two that are shifting, the Aries to Pisces and Scorpio to Libra, started in 2009 to 2010. They're running to the 2050s and 2060s. So it's going to be a while. That's the 5-pointed star. I've pretty much touched on the fact that every 18 months she retrogrades, which gives us permission as individuals to shift our values and priorities in our personal individual ways. But every 8 years, it becomes more important around your relationships and finances. So in this case, if you have strong Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces, because we're going to cover this one because this is what time it is, then you have a chance right now to activate a new persona based on your new consciousness, let's say, a new presentation to the world because you have some new ideas and concepts to share. As you're able to do that, we're going to shift to the inner initiation, which is in Cancer. That's going to allow us to really lock in the self-care and the nourishment and the rest and the rhythms, think moon rules Cancer, the lunar rhythms, to stay in sync with what's natural and right for you, the individual. Okay? So Venus is so good to work with to keep you on lock that way, and it makes it so easy to stick to your own goals and values and things. Now, another way to look at the 5 points, Aries is going to shift into Pisces. So right now, we've been activating a new identity, passion, desires, goals, purpose, and independence. But as it shifts into Pisces, it'll be a new intuitive capacity, new levels of imagination. We're going to recalibrate our boundaries, and we're going to do some more integration of the physical and spiritual practices. So that's a big deal coming in March of 2025. From Aries, we go to Scorpio, which is new power, creativity, magnetism, transformation, and the soul self gets activated. But once that has a little overlap, it's already started shifting, 2010, 2018. The next one is 2026 to the Libra, which is new conscious equal partnerships, relationships, and collaborations. So we've done all this work on our own power so that now we can have some more better, more equal, balanced, reciprocal exchanges with other folks, whether it's, again, personal or professional, private or public, it doesn't matter. But think about where the world's heading. Think about how much our boundaries have already been invaded and our privacy is over. So if there's any part of you that cares about that, this is going to be the time to calibrate so that you feel safe and comfortable, and so that you're paying attention as the values shift, as things happen in the world, everything else has to shift too. And allows you to connect to new ideas. It allows you to create new containers and come into this new level of authentic self. Just working with Venus in general, but if you get into these bigger cycles, then you do it really consciously. I would ask that you all think about this, clarifying a tangible goal and an essence goal, one of each. If you can think about how you want to feel by spring of 2025 and what you want in form, manifested, intangible, and measurable by spring of 2025. Just know that you're reviewing the Venus zone is who, what, when, where, and how do we obligate ourselves to others, and is it still worth it? Let's do a little review. How do you spend your personal resources of time, energy, and money? Recalibrate that. Theoretically, we already have. The idea is the last 10 months we've been clearing out things that don't apply anymore so that we could come to here and now and step forward. Think about the fact that Venus rules Libra and Taurus. Libra is an air sign, Taurus is an earth sign. And so because of this, now she covers pretty much anything and everything that we love and care about. So in her Libra mode, it's all very invisible and idealistic. Peace, love, beauty, harmony, balance, reciprocity, all that conscious equal partnership that Libra represents. But in this case, with all life, we care about all life. That is a goal and a dream, and it's wonderful, but it's a little intangible, so that's the essence. We want to feel our kinship with others, with life, with nature, things like that. With Taurus, it gets much more literal, and we're into the food, sex, and money. The essential needs for being a human being in a body on planet Earth requires us to deal with our material comforts and personal security issues. So Venus rules all that. So she's how we take care of ourselves, and she's how we interact with other folks. She's how we work our resources and our self-worth and self-value, what we think we're worth. I don't know about y'all, but the first time I ever negotiated a salary, it gave me a huge boost of confidence and self-worth because I came to a place where I really realized I am not doing this particular job for less than this amount of money. To be sane and to feel balanced, I needed to upgrade what I was taking to do the work I was doing back in the day, which is typical of someone with several planets in Virgo. You end up doing a lot of work with none of the money. And so to be able to negotiate like that really started a whole new track for me in terms of asking for what I feel like I'm worth. And so that's another boon and beautiful thing about working with Venus. Now, let's see. This, I think we can go on to the divinations, other than to say, do consider getting the reading and custom guide and joining the monthly circle, because you have one already put together. We're going to cover a little bit of that now, because I want to let you know that we're going to cover 3 tarot cards. I did Tarot of the Spirit, I wanted to just sort of quickly lay on the table a couple of other things about how we work the book and the Venus cycle. So when we have 10 months of release and 10 months of reclamation, everything kind of links up and matches. We release on the outer initiation and inner initiation, and here we are about to reclaim the outer and inner initiation. And then we go through the 7 primary chakras. So I do like to remind folks that the root and crown are connected. The creative center and the third eye are connected. The power center and your throat are connected, and we just do a heart-to-heart connection in this book. So let's say if we released from the crown so we could reclaim at the root, 10 months apart. Everything is 10 months apart. But it ends up being connected. Now, what happened when she retrograded and lingered in Leo so long is that the outer and inner initiation was Leo. So we did this deep clearing, as I've already touched on. And on the outer, we want to reclaim in Gemini. And on the inner, we want to reclaim in Cancer. The other thing I do differently with every book is that we have different guidance systems, and this one is archetypes and stories. We worked with archetypes to release, and we're going to work with archetypes to reclaim. And overall cycle for Leo was the lover archetype, which is guiding the whole cycle. So you will release the old ways of loving yourself, others, and the planet, which are no longer in alignment with your heart. You'll be supported to consciously clear and release old ways of seeing yourself and your infinite creative potential. You will transmute old relationship trauma. That's why we've been working on the love life so much. That has had you stuck in negative patterns because of the hurtful, disappointing, or heartbreaking experiences you've had with friends, family, lovers, bosses, co-workers, community, and general public. Not to mention your own self-betrayals and disappointments over the years. Okay, deep breath. So that lover archetype covered a lot of ground. Now, for the outer release, we released the dilettante, which is helping you to recognize times, situations, or people who inspire you to act out of character, exaggerating the facts to make yourself look good, or encouraging you to be fake, phony, or superficial in your exchanges, especially in public or at work. This energy is your wounded inner child who is looking for love, reassurance, and approval from others, when the goal is actually to develop self-love, self-assurance, and self-approval. When you cultivate and develop it yourself, it cannot be destroyed by any outside forces, I say. So we released that back in August, and now here in June, we're going to reclaim the liberator archetype. And this is helping you to recognize the evolution of your innate sense of self, unique contribution, authenticity, and creative self-expression. You have cleared all that no longer reflects your true heart and what you truly care about. Love, vitality, and passion are birthrights, and you no longer question whether or not you are worthy of having all that you need, desire, and deserve. You are free to embody your own sense of leadership, friendship, community, and offer your unique contribution. Okay? That's because we cleared Shadow Leo so we could reclaim Light Gemini. Okay? That's the liberator, where you have options, possibilities, and you're not locked into one thing. But it's also your public persona, and this has more to do with how you work it in public and how you present yourself, okay? Now, when we get to the Cancer side, we're going to do the inner release of reclamation. So we released back in September, and we're going to reclaim in July. We released the innocent archetype, which was helping you to recognize where you've been immature, naive, and disconnected from your heart. There is an innocent child heart who's open to new things and excited about the wondrous possibilities inherent in life. But there is a shadow innocent which postpones ownership or responsibility, retards the growth process of an individual character by not maturing, and delays the rewards of being your own person, sharing your creativity, and shining your light. So we got over all that. There was a lot of talk, if I remember correctly, about the etymology and the real definition and meaning behind the word nice, and how nobody needed to be a nice girl anymore. That nice really means stupid and ineffective, so we're not really trying to do that patriarchal thing. And if we cleared that, now we can reclaim in July the goddess archetype. This will help you to recognize your own beauty, power, and inner light. Now that you have cleared the old, non-essential, and superficial, your true radiance can shine forth, making you and everything you do glow from the inside out. You are connected to your own heart and rooted in your own sacred feminine power. So anything you want to embody or experience can be magnetized in simply by activating the heart and opening to receive. A goddess does not beg or chase, but relaxes into her heart, clarifies her heart's desire, and prepares for its inevitable manifestation because she is worthy, not entitled. She is a leader, but not domineering. And she embodies a rare power and unique beauty without making anyone else feel less than in any kind of way. Ashe. So let's embody that god or goddess archetype within you and know that you did the clearing of the dilettante and shadow innocence just so you could be here right now to reclaim the liberator and the goddess. So one is consciousness and one is in your body, right? So let's think about that. I will include in the post called Goodies the archetype and the Venus light and shadow list. Those will be fun for you all to work through and do your journal prompts and ask your own questions, pull your own cards and things like that. Also, I'll probably include the goddess videos, which are a lot of fun and were made around August, September, which was Leo Virgo time. So there might be something in there that you can recognize how much you've cleared and released and how much space you've created to bring in the new and how you want to do that and start clarifying how you want to do that. Now, we could take a pause between now and the divinations because they're pretty juicy and very deep. So what I looked at, just so that we could confirm, because we're right on the other side of the release work, okay? And so I wanted to clarify and confirm the Leo release work that we did August, September of 2023. And what I pulled was 5 of Fire, the struggle. So this is what we've been clearing out and releasing for the last 10 months. Again, whether you've been with us or not, whether you know about the cycle, whether you're into astrology or not, this is what our values and priorities have been really rearranged in a certain part of our lives. So at the 5 of Fire, you stand on the brink of change between worlds. The feeling is one of impending implosion or explosion, and the spirit in a state of chaos. Any attempt to go back to old imagery or ideas, to regress, retrace steps, or make amends does not work well at this time. Even though there is much disruption on the deepest level, you do not feel remorse. You know that change must occur. The structure is too tight. To release pressure, the lid must blow off. You are in a time of internal struggle. Your energy is heavy and dense. It feels blocked. You feel fragmented and disrupted. Things you have built seem to be dissolving. Even your own personality is in question. You are asking, who am I? And what do I really want? Okay, deep breath. This, like I said, was August, September review time. This is the beginning of a new eon in thought, a new age of thought. Regardless of whether the voice of change comes from within or without, you find yourself persecuting new ideas. This is because you have a strong vested interest in the existing structure. In fact, your whole life's work or savings may have gone into creating and perpetrating it. At this point, however, you are growing. Old structures no longer fit. This is what happens when we connect to our authentic selves in Leo and how we realize how much we had go along to get along to go along, and we did that for 8 years. That shit is over, okay? It's a new day. Let's do it a new way. So we're growing, the old structures don't fit. As you grow and develop, you may find that growth is also occurring at the societal level as well. At the 5 of Fire, a whole culture or society may be suffering an identity crisis. Lawsuits occur, revolutionaries arise, wars break out, prophets speak, poets publish. Deep breath. But to the individual facing personal change, the battles of the external world may seem like children's skirmishes, while the internal war of self seems deep, bloody, and churning. Inside, you burn like a fire out of control. There is no cooling force of emotional balance to quell the flames. You experience the uncertainty and burning struggle inherent in the human condition. The struggle involves the quest to free the spirit and reconnect with the oneness from which we emerged. Breath. The 5 of fire denotes the fall of spirit to the conditions of man, quote-unquote man or human. In our physical world, we seem to work hard at building structures, which become the very means by which we are later trapped. Our need then becomes to abandon or destroy such structures. On the tree of life, the 5th circle is the circle of Geburah, which represents the energy of destruction. This is the process of catabolism, breaking down. In plants and animals, this is the destructive metabolism, whereby living tissue is changed into waste products of a simpler chemical composition. In fire, the 5 implies destruction by burning. Burning away can mean that there is a surge of will, which is not yet connected with a deep understanding. The stabilizing feminine force of emotional attachment has disappeared. Since there is no regulating force, the male, active, energetic force of fire burns out of control. Thus, you may not realize why you seem to be destroying that which you once held dear, or what was once dear to you. In actuality, you are mercilessly tearing down all that which is obsolete, useless, and outdated, structures which no longer fit. Just as the diseased society is torn asunder, you are burning clean and purifying yourself in order to move to a higher level. Ashe. The struggle is a testing ground of life. Can you surrender to the catabolic process of destruction and still attune to your basic goodness and caring within? While old structures must go, can you realize this outright and work lovingly with those around you so that the struggle will not cause undue damage? Deep breath. We don't want to be indiscriminate. The challenge of the 5 of fire is to flow with the process of change. Allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to lose. In losing all, everything is gained. This is the difference between being in control and being empowered. Empowered is what we're going for. Allow yourself to go soft, and you will win by giving in. This process involves letting go of false hopes and expectations. If you let go, you cannot be disappointed. If you let go of hope, you have nothing to fear. It is only by letting go of hope and fear that you begin to comprehend the vastness of space. This is the first step toward mastery. Deep breath. It also reminded me of something I probably should have said sooner. And when I said we do stories and archetypes, and I talked about the archetypes, I forgot to tell you about the stories. And I've recorded the new story, so we have 2 to listen to that'll be in the post called Goodies. But we released with the Ugly Duckling story. And the whole idea behind the Ugly Duckling story was, again, to not put ourselves in positions that weren't for us, right? Not to choose things because they appeared to be good, but what feels right to you, the individual. And the duckling just pops around to community, trying to find a place to belong, that sense of belonging, that place where you can be your authentic self. That was the story we used to clean out and clear out all the kind of awkwardness and being nice, going along to get along, getting along to go along. We let go of all that with the Leo, and all of that struggle and all of that fire just burned it away. It was in Pamela Eakin's Tarot of the Spirit. She has an astrological correlation as well, and she calls that one Saturn in Leo. So that's a powerful visual too, because we basically shifted our reality around our authentic self and unique contribution and who we want to really be in this world and who we want to present to the world so that we're known for that, right? We're upgrading what we're known for in a big way. And then the story we're reclaiming with is called Seal Skin, Soul Skin, and it's about really being comfortable in your own skin and learning what your natural rhythms are. And we're kind of back to that intuitive right timing for you, the individual. That's what we're going for. We don't want to be sheep herded along with the masses. We want to do this the way that is healthy and best for your individual system. So that covered our release work, which was double down on Leo. Inner and outer. We cleared so much there so that we could be true to ourselves again. Now, clarify and confirm, reclaim, I did one for Gemini and one for Cancer. The one for Gemini is 8 of Wind, and this is right now this month, the actual day, if you want a prayer day, where you light a candle, get a glass of water, and write a petition out for Venus and the Sun, which has to do with your identity and purpose. along with your values and priorities in relationships and finances. This is where you're reclaiming new options in the world because now you're your authentic self. You don't have to fake the funk. You don't have to take any jobs you don't want to take. You can do things. There's one of the lines Yay works into our money pouring is I get paid to be me. And we're still very much in the new moon zone where you want to be compensated for your creative output. And that's where we are. So here, Eight of Wind in Tarot of the Spirit is called Power Shield, and she calls this the Jupiter in Gemini. So I thought this would also be important because as of May, Jupiter is moving into Gemini for the first time in 12 years. So here it says, it is time to stop arguing with yourself, time to stop arguing with others. At the Eight of Wind, you cease to persist in the matters of the intellect and in any other kind of contest. There is no point in continuing. Interference from without seems to continually interrupt your progress. How will you respond to the interference you perceive? The best method is to listen to your inner voice. Listen to the message of the Great Spirit, the flow of the cosmic will. Do not be thrown off course by apparent interference. Do not get caught up in obstacles. The interference and the obstacles are only lessons to show you the right path. Learn from, but do not get bogged down by, reviewing your situation again and again. The fact is that you will most likely not come to a decision on the matter at hand through any analytical process. It is time to trust. It is time to get out of doingness and into beingness. Deep breath. Remember, Venus is feminine. That's the being part. Masculine is the doing. At the Eight of Wind, you have formed fairly clear and accurate ideas. At this point, thinking too much, continually mulling it over, getting caught in the veil of spinning intellect, the onslaught of too many ideas at once, will complicate and obscure your clarity. That which is true has already separated from that which is false, within and around you. The two versions of reality have already polarized in your subconscious mind, and now at the level of rational thought, you have abstracted them into truth and falsehood. You know which way is right. You must make certain admissions to yourself. Now that you know truth from falsehood, do not dwell on the subject. You will only dwell yourself into the ground. It is time to release mental strain and surrender to the truth. One way of doing this is to retreat for a while, to consider your inner voice. Listen through meditation, not through analysis. As you withdraw, do not fear solitude. Fear of solitude is the fifth natural enemy. There is a great reward in deliberately detaching to consider the matter at hand. If you do not find what you are seeking within, you will never find it without. Remember that what you are looking for is also looking for you, that I do believe. But here it says, remember that what you are looking for is also what you are looking with. Thus, in a sense, the external interference you perceive is really not external at all. It comes from your own inner blocks. Deep breath. The path of the Eight is known as the path of perfect intelligence because it is primordial and self-contained intelligence. It is intelligence which is original and set apart. It is part of the cosmic or universal mind. It is that which we know to be true as opposed to that which is growing and imperfect. It is the intelligence of the spirit, that which is perfect. The intelligence of science can never be perfect. Its very nature is to be improved upon continually. Scientific intelligence always changes. The cosmic or universal intelligence remains true in spite of constant change. At the Eight of Wind, the sword, the analytical struggle, is laid down. The battle is abandoned. Abandonment of the battle means, in a sense, the loss of self-consciousness. At this point, you may feel like you are losing your intellectual ability. This is because in the recent past, you have accepted your intellectual pursuits as your identity. But temporarily relinquishing self-consciousness does not mean that you have lost your mental powers. It merely means that you are beginning to put your intellectual pursuits into the proper perspective, which is spiritual in nature. It means that you are beginning to abandon shallow pursuits in the quest for deeper meaning. You are beginning to reorient your life toward the one true path. As soon as you abandon your fight with competing realities, then a new and powerful power shield is given to you. This is the deep and lasting protective shield of truth, love, and conviction. The origin of the shield comes from truth. The power of the shield comes from conviction. The stamina of the shield comes from love. So let's say that again. The origin of the shield comes from truth. That's what protects you. The power of the shield comes from conviction. The stamina of the shield comes from love. With the acceptance of this gift, you receive the gift of divine reason, which is the most important gift of the suit of wind. This gift helps you to transcend the analytical overlays, the spinnings of your mind that keep you awake at night. Your power shield is formed from a new perspective, a spiritual perspective. You must be courageous. You are on the right path. You must trust your power shield to protect you as you seek meaning and the deepest and purest truth. At the aid of wind, you will become conscious of a hovering energy. That energy is the whispering of the spirit of the wind. It is telling you that it is time to confront the self-created and self-perpetuating monsters of your intellect. This may be frightening, but after all, those monsters do not exist apart from your own subconscious. Remember, you can choose to receive the gift of divine reason, which will help you overcome the struggle to analyze that which escapes you, that which in any event can never be understood through the methods of science. The gift of divine reason is your power shield. This is the shield of truth, love, and conviction, which no sword can assail. Deep breath. So, as we let go of aspects of self that weren't really us so much, we can now claim that sense of belonging, sense of I am presence within you, sense of purpose. Think of people that don't feel like they have a purpose. They're really depressed, let me tell you. And know that you can stand in that in public, that you can be rational in a Gemini way, right? Be rational. Here's another one that comes up when we think about Gemini energy, is if you don't disagree, certain people assume that you agree, and that can come around to bite you in the booty, all right? So it may be a time to speak up for yourself and to express your ideas or finding new mediums, because if we have cleared out the old persona, public persona, the old presentation professionally, then what are we reclaiming? What are we pulling back in its place? Hopefully something with some options. Like my traditional career advice is figure out what you love and figure out how to charge for it. And now that's even been expanded to say figure out something you can specialize in, that you can go narrow and deep with, that you can be the expert on, and make sure that whatever your cornerstone is something that you can grow legs out of, that there's little bridges that you build to collaborate with other people, other modalities, other institutions, all of it. And think about what your central theme is or your umbrella business that covers it all, and then what are the little things underneath. So for me, the only LLC that I'll ever form would be a publishing company, because everything I do is writing and speaking and publishing somehow. So figure out that cornerstone. And then even astrology. It's not really astrology. I work on cycles and patterns. And cycles and patterns can be added to any healing modality out there. I've done a ton of collaborations with Reiki masters and sound bowl healers, and every modality out there you can apply cycles and patterns to too. So that's my jam. Y'all know it. So that outer persona we've cleared. We've come to this place of reclamation. This is for the month of June. You can consider that your guidance. And then for the month of July, we wanted to clarify and confirm the inner initiation work that's going to be done through Cancer. And we got Fire Sister, which is the spark or free spirit. And she's my favorite sister in this deck. Fire Sister has survived all the trials by fire, has gained, lost, and gained again. Now she accepts change with equanimity, moving with the will of the universe. Okay, deep breath. Moving with the universal will, the Fire Sister faces no danger. The natural forces of heaven, sea, and earth favor her. She moves in time with the seasons, internally creating her own beauty through her wise use of energy. Deep breath. She is naturally aggressive and completely gentle at the same time. Enthusiastic, self-confident, trusted, and trustworthy. She can be very articulate when asked to perform, but she'd rather just live in harmony with the world around her, enjoying her life and her gift of spirit. She feels no driving need to aspire, but her balanced views and ideals make her a sought-out oracle. As a divine priestess, Fire Sister's task is to connect and stay connected to her three layers of consciousness: the above, higher consciousness; the below, subconsciousness; and the center, waking consciousness. These layers can also be thought of as heaven, sea, and earth. Through standing in the center of these layers, seeing all at once, knowing all at once, the Fire Sister understands and moves in time with the universal will. That is the key to her freedom and intense happiness. Call it in. That is why she is in the favor of the great forces and why her actions are right. She is in every way perfect in her niche in the universe. That's what I mean. Specialize, go deeper. And that is why she is sought out by others. They wish to understand her magic. The source of her magic is love under will. She may be seen as the bringer of unexpected or unusual news because her secret, though she makes no attempt to disguise it, may come as a surprise. Sometimes, however, even Fire Sister fears fragmentation. Heaven, sea, and earth, the forces which must balance to ensure the creation of all things, seems cut off from each other. It is as if the creative flow will be quelled by the destructive tendencies of fire, which is flames out of control. At this time, the Fire Sister has to retune. Okay, so if we feel ourselves getting extreme or destructive or out of control, to accomplish this, she directs her vast powers for seeing within. Okay, and again, remember this is Cancer, so it's your emotions, it's your feelings, it's how you take care of yourself, and it's what matters to you and your heart. Her favorite meditation is to imagine the sun setting on the sea from a western exposure. Waking consciousness is the sun, dips into the subconscious, which is the sea, from the superconsciousness, which is heaven, thus uniting the three levels. In attuning to the harmony of this sacred union, Fire Sister is reminded that the great forces always were, are, and forever shall be in balance. The grand movements of life come into perspective. She feels at peace. Through reliving trust in the natural processes, Fire Sister escapes any negative influences around her and sees only the higher light, her true path. Okay, so that's what we have to do. Trust in the natural processes, not these unnatural food and pharmaceuticals, not this sock med and virtual reality. Trust in natural processes, getting back to your own sixth senses to tell you what is real. On the true path, she is exalted. She is never even tempted toward honor and riches. All that seems irrelevant. Fire Sister sees. She sees that everything is moving, that change is stability. She is the original will of the one of fire, exalted to its heights and recentered in earth. She is the embodiment of spirit, the most minute element of flame, the harmonious balance of all the good in her ancestry, which is her fire father, water mother, and wind brother. She is the spark of life, the spark of light that dances in the cosmic flow. This is because she sees and knows the flow. Feel into your Cancer parts. She does not have to contain her actions. She is so much part of the universal will that with every step she treads in light and love. Thus, she is truly a free spirit. I say. On the tree of life, the Fire Sister is Malkuth, the spirit of the one, brought to the earth and embodied in flesh. She is the manifestation of the one life that is held within all life, the spark of life within each of us that is part of the central flame of the one life. She teaches us that the nature of the one is embodied in the many. As we realize that our internal flame is but a spark of the one, we learn to attune to, move in time with, the one source. We experience a profound unity, and like Fire Sister, our actions become favored by all of the diverse forces and elements, all of which are manifestations of the eternal life-giving power of the one source. Ashe. So, deep breath. This reclamation is very important and vital. And just give yourself some space this summer to step into this new embodiment and step up to this new level. No one is exempt, okay? We've covered all three modalities now because Leo is fixed, Gemini is mutable, and Cancer is cardinal. So we have all three kind of zones covered in terms of processing, making choices, and anchoring or releasing what's necessary for us to be able to go to the next level. Now, we're pretty good on time here. Is anyone up for a drum journey? It didn't work on Zoom, but it usually works on the phone. And again, if we want to pause for questions or feedback on the tarot, release and reclaim, any questions about the Venus Circle or getting your reading and custom guide, anyone that's here tonight live or gets this replay can request the link, the discounted link for $150 to get your reading and custom guide. It's normally $200, and for the new cycle it will be. But for this crew and everybody looking to jump into the circle, I would like you to be able to do that at a discount. So, yay, absolutely, let's go. All right, we're going in. So go to your happy place in nature, somewhere comfortable and familiar, someplace in nature with no humans, no industry, no mechanical things, just you and the elements of nature, the animals, the angels and ancestors, the archangels, whoever you work with in the liminal spaces. Ask your primary guide to hold space while you go there for a minute. We're going to actually go for 6 minutes. And what we should do while we're in there is ask for an animal guide or an ancestral guide that wants to assist your reclamation process, because we are done clearing and releasing. And now we're going to start reclaiming little by little, starting with the outer and inner initiation. So I would ask what you need to know right now at this time. And they may show you a word or a symbol or a picture, or a certain animal may show up, additional animals. It doesn't have to make sense. I have alligators show up in the mountains and whales show up in the fields, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to make sense. This is your realm for your invisible team to meet up with you to help guide and confirm or validate your questions. All right? Deep breath. Let's go in. your call back. This is where you wrap it up, give your gratitude, leave a lock of hair or an offering of tobacco or lavender or cornmeal, rock or a shell. Say thank you. If you feel like you need to, you can always come back, play the drum journey again. Find your own sacred music. Okay. Take a few notes, take a few breaths. Whatever animals showed up, take a note. I want to thank everyone for being with us tonight. Thank you, thank you. This midpoint is important and delicious and fun to co-create with when you start to understand the cycle better. Reach out directly if you'd like to get your reading and custom guide that will guide you all the way through March of 2025. And join us for the reclamation each month. We will cover a different chakra and a different sign. And a little by little, we will restore ourselves and prepare for the next round. So thank you all for being part of the Power Circle community, and thank you for being in my circle. This is Kelly signing off.